Hello and welcome to New Central Television. I am Lekan Onabanjo. The headlines at this hour. President Tinubu signed 7-point agreements with Qatar, promises to prosecute government official for misconduct. Abuja residents agricultural and rural development secretariats as Nigerians groan under economic hardship. Libya, Tunisia and Algeria hold tripartite meeting to improve economy. Details to come your way shortly. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has been engaging the business community in Qatar, leading to the signing of a 7-point agreement. Speaking at the Nigeria-Qatar Business and Investment Forum in Doha, President Tinubu told Qatari investors that Africa's largest economy and its systems are being reformed and upgraded. He asked Qatar's captains of industries to report any government official who demands a bribe or any form of inducement at any point in their business endeavor moving forward, with full assurance of their direct access to the president's office. In the meantime, Governor Obasani of Kaduna State said agriculture was one area that Nigeria's business community can benefit from. Nigeria and Qatar jointly have stakes in the future of gas, as the debates are on as to the future of gas in the energy transition plans. The Ministry of Youth Development was able to mobilize youth to Qatar on the President Tinubu's instructions to engage with their business community for mutual benefits. Now, joining us on the news is Dr. Ambrose Oke, International Affairs Analyst, and he'll be talking to us more about this. Thank you so much, Dr. Oke, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So if you recall, we had an engagement earlier this past week, I guess, as regards the bilateral tie the Nigerian government is willing to strengthen with Qatar, and you were quite pessimistic about it. So looking at the agreements reached and documents signed, has your perception changed as to what position or positive change this friendship might portend for both countries?
You can see that I'm smiling. My perception have not changed. I think we should deploy our time for more critical issues. Nigeria is not in the state of normalcy. Nigeria is in the state of emergency. We are in a situation of economic emergency. So the actions of our leaders should showcase that we are in an emergency situation. The trip to Qatar is not an emergency trip. It's not a critical intervention in our economy. Qatar, you can see what was signed about museum, about gas, about this. We are talking about gas and whatever. Qatar is not even among the JVs, you know, the joint venture companies, JVCs that we have in Nigeria. So why are we not talking to the JVCs? Why are we not talking to the countries who we have had more than 60 years of exploration of our gas and natural resources with? These are the countries we're talking to. What is the influence? What is the exchange of trade between Nigeria and Qatar? What market does Qatar have? Qatar doesn't have a market for us. We are huge. So we should be talking to countries that are huge like us. So the only people that will start to benefit anything from any agreement signed with Qatar is Qataris, not Nigerians. So even if we have oil to push or we have whatever products to push to Qatar, what is their population? That population is not even up to one of the smallest states in Nigeria. So I still maintain my stand that this is not the kind of trip we should be making.
But then, Dr. Oke, let's just quickly look at the areas where discussions were held. They talked about education, enterprise development, investment promotion, youth empowerment, mining, tourism, and sports. So are these not critical areas or capacities that both countries can further improve, looking at these sectors, and they can benefit from?
No. Qatar has nothing to offer us in those sectors. When you check this trajectory of Nigerians, human resources, where we are heading to, these are the countries we'll be talking to develop these areas you just listed. Where are the Nigerian human professional resources going to? Let's take sports. Where are Nigerian sports people going to? How many of Nigerian sports people are in Qatar? Nigerian sports people are scattered. Let's take the football, for example. The leagues in England, Italy, Germany, Germany, and some of these countries in Europe and America, and even Saudi Arabia has more to offer than Qatar. How many of our footballers are playing Qatar? Our footballers have been playing more in African leagues like in Tunisia and in Egypt than Qatar. So that is the area of sport. When you talk about other areas, for example, education, what is the percentage of, when you check the percentage of Nigerians that are living in Nigeria to study abroad, and you juxtapose it with how many of them are going to Qatar, you find out that it's so infinitesimal, there's nothing there. So if we're talking about education, collaboration, and improvement of education, we should be talking to UK, we should be talking to United States of America, we should be talking to Canada, we should be talking to Australia, we should be talking to Germany.
Dr. Ezekiel,
that's where Nigerians go for studies.
Dr. Ezekiel, some people will say it is better to start from somewhere than to not start at all. But then let me just quickly relay with you what the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, that is Ajuri Ngalale, said. And he said that President Bola Tinubu assured of Nigeria's preparedness to welcome investors into the country from Qatar. Now, judging by government's policies and the current economy, do you think that Nigeria will be able to secure investments from Qatar in whatever form, guise, or size?
Whatever investment Qatar is bringing to Nigeria will not be for the benefit of Nigeria. It will be for the benefit of Qatar. So as usual, we are desperate, so we are thinking of opening up. They will come here, pick whatever they want to do to enhance their own economy and move away, because we have nothing to offer them in return. So we should be going for balance of scale here. And so if Qatar comes here, if Nigeria wants to reciprocate, let's talk of gas, for example. Qatar has gas. We talk about agriculture. Nigeria has more space for agriculture than Qatar. So whatever Qatar is coming to pitch here is what they're going to take back to their place. So we should be talking of countries that have a far advantage in economic scale than Nigeria. And that is where we can get things from. I read somewhere in the news that even at war, Ukraine was giving us some tons of wheat. So this is an opportunity to say, instead of giving us tons of wheat, you are in war. Come, let's see how we can synergize. Bring some of your people to teach, to train our farmers, and let's do some, some demonstration farms so that we can teach our people in every local government, for example, so that we can start off how to grow with the best practices that is current. Those are the kind of engagements you should be having. And so for me, going to Qatar is a show. It has nothing to offer us. Rather, Qatar, we gain more. So we don't need anything. The Qatar doesn't need anything from us. And basically, if not that we behave the way we behave, we don't need anything from Qatar.
Okay,
we need things from people. We need to have JBCs from people that we have serious bilateral relationships with. We don't have any
you're saying that Qatar does not need anything from Nigeria, but then you know that Nigeria boasts of a huge human resource, and that's its population. And the president used the opportunity to speak highly of Nigerian youth, saying they're energetic, they're educated, they're willing to work, they're willing to offer their services and all. So don't you think that that is one area that probably might just bring about a possibility of creating jobs, gainfully employing Nigerian youths in this regards, where we have Qatari business owners come to Nigeria, establish their businesses, and provide opportunity of jobs for our teeming youth? So don't you think there's anything good that can come to Nigeria in that regards?
Let's just streamline what we are talking about here. Where do Nigerian youths go to look for jobs? Which countries can accommodate the immigration of Nigerian youths? And that is why there are countries that they focus on. They focus on in the UK. I've mentioned them: Canada, USA, even Saudi Arabia. They focus more even for Dubai. They focus for even Eastern Europe, like Hungary. They go to Hungary. They go to, before Ukraine went to war, many of them were in Ukraine. They are Italy. So what we come to do, we are supposed to go to those countries that are already destination for our teeming youth to go negotiate for them. That is what countries do. to negotiate for better job offers for Nigerians.
But then, Dr. Oke, you know that these...
We are going to Qatar for what?
Dr. Oke, you know that these countries have started...
Like what, India?
Dr. Oke, these countries that you mentioned have started coming up with policies. They've started amending their policies and the constitution to restrict such benevolence or benefits that other countries can't get from them. So when we have these restrictions and embargoes, how do you expect Nigeria to go to them, approach them, to try to strike a deal with them, have this bilateral relationship with them, when they are also coming up with policies that restrict Nigeria and other African countries from coming to them?
Exactly my point. We are not coming to the same point. They are doing these policies because Nigeria is not even engaging them enough. These countries we have had, look at UK, for example, we have had bilateral relationship with UK for God knows when, over 100 years, running 200 years. Today, UK is part of the JVC that we are running. The same thing with countries like France. So we go to these people, we now negotiate with them for our youth. Some of these policies, have government engaged any of them in some of these policies? And to the best of my knowledge, no. When they brought out such policies 2 years ago, did any government go to them to say, okay, look, these are our people, just like what India is doing for their citizens in the US and the rest. You need to engage. When you have things to offer, you need to engage. We have everything in this country. Europe is cutting us. Canada is cutting us. America is cutting us. Every country wants to be friend. China wants to be here. Russia wants to be here. We have everything, and every country wants to engage with Nigeria. So why are we belittling ourselves? That is my point here. Okay. So we are not supposed to even sit behind and for them to even give those policies. It's because we are not properly engaging. That is why they are coming up with such policies and treating us as if we are as if we are down there when we are up there. So we should realize that we are up there. We are the eagle, and we shouldn't play the cat down there.
All right, Dr. Ambrose Oke, thank you so much. It was nice talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Moving on now, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against President Bola Tinubu over grave allegations of a missing $3.4 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund intended to support the nation's budget and respond to the COVID-19 crisis. According to SERAP, the allegations stem from the 2020 Nigeria Annual Audited Report by the Auditor General of the Federation. The suit, filed last Friday at the Federal High Court in Abuja, demands thorough investigation and accountability from the highest office in the land. SERAP's demands are clear. They seek a directive for President Tinubu to probe the disappearance of the IMF loan, ensure the prosecution of those responsible for any mismanagement or diversion, and secure the full recovery of the missing funds. The organization argues that such actions are vital to addressing Nigeria's economic crisis and debt burden. Away from that, the federal government of Nigeria plans to query non-performing power distribution companies worried by the worsening power supply. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, who summoned the chief executives of Abuja Electricity Distribution Company and Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company, talked tough about the deteriorating electricity supply in the country. Adelabu said willful non-performance by any disco could suffice as a reason for severe punishment or outright license revocation. The minister is to meet with the discos next week, while the managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, has also been summoned over the deteriorating power situation. Joining us on the news now is Akin Faton, an economist and an analyst, and he will be discussing this with us. Thank you so much, Akin Faton, for joining us on the news.
It's my pleasure, Lekan. Good evening, Nigerians. Thanks for inviting me.
Good evening to you too. Now, we have heard cases of poor gas supply to power plants, discos being owed billions of naira, even by government institutions, and dilapidated infrastructure leading to incessant grid collapse. Now, are the discos the real problem here, or it's the Nigerian government that is not telling itself the real truth?
The problem with Nigeria, we are not talking of energy now, we're talking of power challenges. We have been oil challenges, we have security challenges, we have health challenges, we have educational challenges, is that we have not been integrated in our approach to looking at, first of all, identifying the problems. And I'm beginning to know that we really have identified the problems, but easier for us to now begin to point fingers and be looking for scapegoats. Are the discos responsible for what we have now? I don't think so. Well, even if they are minuscule within the value chain that we have been given, right from the energy roadmap, concessioning, and through perhaps even from about 2 regimes before now, it's been a lot of wumbling and fumbling. Transmission has not been at its best, no doubt. Is it the fault of the transmission governments also? No. We are not really looking at it integratedly. There has been a lot of thefts on the assets of the transmission companies. You remember that not too long ago, the TCN came out and told us before we started having the collapse in the grid that they were only able to transmit 62% of the energy that they generated. Right now, I'm very sure it is down. You also remember, Lekan, that the transmission lines that was reported at them at the Gwagwa-Karimo, Akpo, the 122 kV transmitter lines was heavily vandalized. And what do the vandals do with this? They get this to go and make pots and pans, and they run into billions of naira. No, you can therefore imagine that the transmitting lines that we are still depending on, that have been bereft of investment, is over 50 years old. So who is fooling who?
So at this point, one may begin to ask the question: yes. Is it as a result of probably saboteurs within the system? Because we see the Nigerian government accusing the discourse of deliberate sabotage and saying that non-collaborative discourse will be punished. You've also mentioned a couple of areas where you feel that people are vandalizing, or some certain elements are vandalizing properties of the Nigerian government, infrastructure, if we could just put it that way. So could the electricity distribution firms also be culpable of underdealings? Look at the poor metering process. They've been passing the buck between the TCN, the NERC, the Ministry of Power, and of course, the discos.
Quite clearly, those are the little ends of the game in my mind. But let's face the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is the fact that that sector has been starved of funds. And we as a people have decided that it's not an area we can take off the subsidy. So now, but I agree with you absolutely. The discos themselves, in order to want to try and recoup costs as much as possible, the big bang about you have to meter, got to provide the meters, and then government is saying the DISCO should provide, DISCO is saying the electricity generation companies should provide. At the end of the day, who suffers? Those who are grass. I think at the end of the day, we are all culpable of now wanting to regurgitate the cake that we have eaten in times past, including the almighty corruption. We have taken a chunk of electricity generation distribution until very lately, away from the concurrent lists, and government was not able to do that. That is the reason why you see people in that sector, just like you have them in the customs. They keep on smiling to the banks and building a lot of ill-gotten wealth on houses that they should not be. So I agree with you. So then the whole value chain has been compromised effectively, and unfortunately, the capacity to be able to now generate and bring in funds to help that sector is not forthcoming because we haven't taken care of the security and the vandalism problem.
Okay, so then let's look at solutions now, because we've talked about the fact that the power sector has been taken from the concurrent list, and you mentioned a couple of things. Now, in finding solutions to these endemic challenges, can the feat achieved in Abia State with the geometric power plants projects probably be replicated in the country with the support of the state governments?
I dare say yes. That field has been opened, and kudos to Professor Naji and his wife. I think they stood the cost, but Lekan, I am not sure you as an investor or me as an investor can just wait on for close to 20 years with all the challenges that was put. And I was talking about the fact that those at the center that needed to have seeded a couple of things did not seed. It was only the private sector that eventually came out to help because they had that belief. And I believe in the fact that going downstream, they will be able to recover their investment. Yeah, it's possible. Some 20 or 25 years before that time, Lagos State was going to do something with the Aaron. But unlike what we now have, that eventually we are birthing in the geometric, the central government or the Obasanjo government at that time stifled and did virtually everything to not make that happen. So with what we are seeing in Abia State, which is a kudos, I think all other states should make it very open for private sector investors to come in, to be able to guarantee a recoup of their money as long as they can give value.
Okay.
7, for instance, or interrupted power supply. It is possible. I believe it is possible. We had the same argument surrounding telecoms, remember? With Nitel, until the telcos now then came, yes, okay. They had to charge us extra, but competition came into that space, and then we eventually got per billing, per second billing.
Okay.
That can happen in energy.
All right, Akin Faton, it was nice talking to you. Thank you so much for your contribution.
It's always nice talking with you too. Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate that. We'll now go on a short break. We'll be back with more stories. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the National Emergency Management Agency has denied media reports alleging that the agency's warehouse was looted in Abuja by residents of Gwagwa-Karimo in the Federal Capital Territory. The agency's head of information unit, Manzo Ezekiel, clarified that the looted warehouse does not belong to NEMA. It added that the Director General of the agency, Mustapha Habib Ahmed, has directed zonal directors and heads of operations to strengthen security in and around the agency's offices and warehouses nationwide to prevent any security breach at NEMA facilities. According to the report, some FCT residents had on Sunday looted a warehouse located at Phase 3 region of the FCT over the current economic hardship across the country. Meanwhile, the Agricultural and Rural Development Secretariat of the Federal Capital Territory Administration has confirmed the looting of its warehouse in Dede earlier by residents in the Federal Capital Territory who took advantage of the economic hardship gripping the nation to raid the facility. Speaking to newsmen, spokesperson for the ARD Secretariat, Zakari Aliu, revealed that the secretary had inspected the warehouse earlier, only to find it completely ransacked by looters who also vandalized the building, stripping it of its roofs and windows. Now, the Nigerian Labour Congress has told President Bola Tinubu that members of the union are not interested in any political position, including his office. The president, during the inauguration of the Lagos Red Line project on Thursday, threw a jibe at the labor unions, telling them to stop their protests and maintain peace, as they are not the only voice for Nigerians. He told the labor unions to wait for 2027 if they want to participate in the electoral process. But responding in a statement, the NLC president, Joe Ajaero, said they are not interested in Tinubu's position, but are demanding that he implements all the agreements the labor unions reached with the federal government following the removal of fuel subsidy. Earlier, we were joined by a lawyer and political analyst, Taiwo Jomo.
think it will depend severally on the perspective one is looking at it from, or the side one belongs. For instance, if you look at it from the perspective of Mr. President, you understand the undertone in what he said. Undertone in the sense that you will recall that a few months ago, during the build-up days to the election, the NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, which ordinarily speaking should be apolitical, publicly endorsed the presidential candidate of the Labour Party and the person of Mr. Peter Obi. And so, if you look at that background, then the support they gave to him, that is perhaps one.
And out of this, Herbert Wigwe, who tragically passed away in February 2024, carved his name into Nigerian history as a transformative figure in the banking sector. He rose from his beginnings in Isiokpo to become the Group Managing Director and CEO of Access Bank, one of the country's leading financial institutions. Bettina Nweli tells us more in this report.
Born in 1966, Herbert Wigwe began his professional journey at Coopers and Lybrand and Guarantee Trust Bank before joining Access Bank in 2002. He quickly rose through the ranks, becoming the bank's deputy managing director and eventually taking over the helm as CEO in 2014.
When you see the evolving landscape, a couple of things are extremely important. The first is, how is that bank managing risk? In Nigeria's case, it is even more topical, all right? But some of us have been through all of this several times before. Now, if you look at our numbers, there are certain factors or certain prudential ratios that are extremely important. So what is your cost of risk? We are showing very strong cost of risk numbers. What is your non-performing loan ratio? We're showing very strong non-performing loan ratio. Now, one that is extremely important is capital adequacy, because banking is all about risk management and your capacity, not just to manage risk, but to absorb it.
His vision and leadership were instrumental in propelling Access Bank to new heights, making it a major player in the Nigerian and even the African financial landscape. His legacy extends beyond financial success, but also reaches the peak of a better banking experience for women.
Making sure that the work-life balance as far as women are concerned, because look, how many women have to multitask, women have to look after children, women have to work, etc., have their own societal demands, all right? The only way to make sure that they're just as efficient and comparable to men is to make sure that you have the right tools to support them.
Wigwe was a respected leader known for his commitment to innovation, social responsibility, and empowering others. He championed financial inclusion and actively contributed to the development of the Nigerian economy.
From the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to all of you for creating this large and great institution in the continent coming out of Nigeria that we can all be very proud of.
While his life was tragically cut short in a fatal helicopter crash on his way to a sporting event in the US, Herbert Wigwe's impact on the Nigerian banking sector and his dedication to progress will undoubtedly continue to inspire generations to come. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
Now, the Minister of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory has assured residents that ongoing construction works within the city center will be completed before May the 29th, which marks 1 year of the current administration. The FCT Minister, during an inspection of ongoing construction works within the capital, also assured residents of President Bola Tinubu's commitment to ensuring that the contractors meet the highest possible standards. Amadin Uyi reports.
The inspection commenced from the city center. The team visited the Wuye Bridge, linking the Wuse district to the Wuye district.
This access to the sector center in which people are located. I think got somewhere around here.
Now we have finished all of the access road and only the asphalt here. If you are crossing the other side, you will see it. 85% has been finished. But we really, let me say once again, we appreciate you bring the life.
From there, the team visited the Kuje Expressway, a project expected to link the Abuja Municipal Council area to the Kuje Council area. The inspection team inspected ongoing construction of the road. The team also paid a visit to the construction of the official residence of the Vice President, and the minister gave an overview of work seen on ground.
The first site we went is one of those areas that, by the grace of God, is almost 85% ready. One of those interchanges, Wuye district, that the contractors are keeping to fit their commitment to hand over by May. And then we also went to the Kuje Road, which is a 6-lane road we finished. About 11 kilometers. That road from the airport road, that to Kuje will open up that area of the area council called Kuje.
He says the quality of work has been satisfactory and assured that the roads being constructed will be completed before May the 29th to mark the president's 1 year in office.
We are not going to allow any project to be abandoned. We have taken our priorities, and most of these projects are also being included in our statutory budget of 2024, which will soon be presented to the National Assembly by Mr. President when he returns from Qatar. Frankly speaking, I'm very happy of the quality and the speed with these companies are. By May, a lot of Nigerians will see the changes.
Some of the projects include resurfacing of roads, construction of new roads, and the renovation of the Vice President's apartment. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
At this point, we tell you that the Commissioner of Police in Anambra State, CP Aderemi Adeoye, has issued a cautionary message to candidates participating in the police recruitment computer-based test amid preparations for the upcoming examination. Adeoye emphasized the zero-tolerance stance against examination malpractice, affirming that any individual caught in such act will face arrest, investigation, and prosecution. CP Adeoye deployed heightened security measures to monitor the examination process across designated centers in the state. This directive was disclosed in a press statement released by the State Police spokesperson, DSP Tochukwu Ikenga. According to the statement, the CP congratulated successful candidates who qualified for the computer-based test stage, underscoring that the recruitment process remains free of charge. The scheduled examination, slated to take place between March 5 and 6, 2024, will be held at various designated centers, including Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu University E-Library CTR2, Igbariam, and Graphil Computers Limited in Awka. The Nigerian Bar Association section on Public Interest and Development Law, NBA SPIDL, has taken decisive action against the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, over the issuance of vehicle certificates. The NBA SPIDL filed a lawsuit challenging the legality of the Central Motor Information System introduced by the police for vehicle owners nationwide. The system, unveiled by the police in December 2023, aimed to enhance the database of vehicle owners. However, controversy erupted over the 6,000 naira fee required to obtain the certificate. In a letter dated January 29, the NBA SPIDL chairman, John Aipopo Martins, and Secretary Funmi Adeogun deemed the certificate issuance illegal, issuing a 7-day ultimatum to halt the process. With the Inspector General failing to comply, the NBA SPIDL escalated the matter, filing an application to restrain both the IG and the Niger Police Force from issuing the certificates. Away from that, some stakeholders in the Niger Delta region have called on the federal government to increase funding for private security outfits to safeguard the natural waterways and boost the nation's economy. These views were canvassed at Baramatu Kingdom of Delta State, South Nigeria, when Government Ekpemopolo, also known as Tompolo, was honored by the Nigerian Union of Journalists and Delta Online Publishers Forum for his contributions in the war against oil theft in the Niger Delta region. News Central correspondent Osinazu brings us more details.
The war against oil bunkering in the Niger Delta region has been on for decades without significant solutions of bringing this art of economic sabotage to a halt. Search for a remedy led to the establishment of a private security outfit known as Tatita Security Services Nigeria Limited by government Ekpemukpolo to safeguard the natural waterways and boost the nation's economy. Within the period, Tatita has made noticeable impact in the war against crude oil theft in the region, especially in recent times. Its operatives have secured the forfeiture of 2 illegal bunkering vessels to the federal government, among others. The Nigerian Union of Journalists and Delta Online Publishers Forum are here at Oporoza, the traditional headquarters of Baramatu Kingdom in Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State, to honor Tom Polo with NUJ Meritorious Award and inducted into the prestigious Niger Delta Media Hall of Fame by the online publishers.
And that's why, as the union members of the Fourth Estate of the realm, we felt it is needful. It's not just about antagonism. That's not what media activism means. You know, we are a group of people, not just government. Private sector operators have done well. It is also our duty to appreciate the same. And that's exactly what we've done. We've not come to give a governor an award, a president an award. This is a private sector-driven award we have done, you know, appreciating them for what they are doing.
At the Delta Online Publishers Forum, we have a lot of awards of different categories, but there's one that is so special. It's like a national award from Delta Online Publishers Forum, and that award is the induction of a particular achiever, a recognized someone who has, not because of his money, but because of life he had touched in one way or the other.
The Speaker of Bayelsa State House of Assembly, who identified contributions of Tatita services to the nation's economic growth, called for more funding to expand its operational base.
Appeal to the federal government to do more. The little stipend they have released to Tatita has brought peace across the Niger Delta. If they could increase the strength of releasing funds to most of these leaders who have the strength to make peace in the Niger Delta, the increase of oil production will grow, and the peace we are experiencing today as a result of contributions of Tatita will continue to increase.
In his remarks, Government Ekpemukpolo called on Nigerians to unite and work towards the advancements of the country.
I don't even have passport to travel out of this country. The only place I have to recall my country is Nigeria. So I will do everything with my people to see that the production will increase. For us to have money to pay salaries, both the military and everybody.
Others emphasize the need for everyone to provide accurate information to security and sister agencies to safeguarding the nation's economy from sabotage. In Warri for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
You're watching News Central now. Coming up, Libya, Tunisia and Algeria hold tripartite meeting to improve the economy. We will bring you the details after the short timeout. Join us again. The news continues in West Africa, where regional prosecutor says around 170 people were executed in attacks on 3 villages in northern Burkina Faso. The attacks by unknown assailants were carried out on the villages of Komsilga, Nordin and Soro in the Atenga province. According to a statement on Sunday, the incident happened a week ago, adding that an investigation had been launched. The West African Sahel nation has been struggling to contain violent Islamist insurgencies linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State that have spread from neighboring Mali over the past decade, killing thousands and displacing more than 2 million people. Now, Libya, Tunisia and Algeria decided to hold a tripartite meeting at the presidential level every 3 months to coordinate partnership and cooperation frameworks. The Algerian presidency announced on Sunday in a statement that Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, the President of Tunisia Kais Saied, and the head of the Presidential Council Mohamed Menfi held a tripartite meeting in which they reviewed the outcomes of the 7th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum. The trio discussed the prevailing conditions in the Maghreb region. The meeting concluded with the need to intensify and unify efforts to confront economic and security challenges in a way that will benefit the peoples of these three countries positively. And now to the Israel-Gaza war. We now tell you that delegations from Hamas, Qatar, and the United States have arrived in Egypt for a new round of negotiations towards a truce in the Gaza war. Cairo, Doha, and Washington have mediated in weeks of talks aiming to pause the fighting in the almost 5-month-old war between Israel and Hamas, sparked by the October 7 attacks. Their goal has been to secure a truce by the start of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan next week, but hopes have been dampened by a series of failed talks. The negotiations have centered on a proposal to pause the fighting for 6 weeks and for Hamas to free hostages in return for the release of Palestinian prisoners from Israel's jail and greater aid deliveries to be provided. Let's now join our business desk for business updates.
In business, top Nigerian business leaders convened in Qatar on Sunday for an investment summit held alongside President Bola Tinubu's state visit to the country. The summit aimed to advance cross-sectoral opportunities for mutually beneficial growth and development. The president participated in a business and investment forum that brought together executives from both the private and public sectors of Nigeria and Qatar. 7 agreements were signed during the ceremony at the Palace of the Emir of Qatar, covering areas such as trade, education, culture, solid minerals, digital economy, agriculture, gas, and counter-terrorism cooperation. Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, has announced that the country has comprehensive data on its lithium reserves available at the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency for potential investors to review. Mineral exploration by the federal government has identified locations. The minister emphasized the quality of Nigerian lithium and highlighted investor-friendly policies to facilitate businesses. He also mentioned the government's effort to provide transportation facilities to mining sites. This information was shared during a meeting with Qatari businessmen in Doha, Qatar, on the sidelines of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit to the Arab country. Africa's contribution to global trade remains below 3%, primarily due to more engagement in trade with non-African countries than within the continent. The Economic Commission for Africa (ECA) report notes slow progress in Africa's regional integration and mixed results in infrastructure development. The Programme for Infrastructure Development in Africa has seen advancements in roads and ICT, but minimal progress in rail transport and energy infrastructure, facing financing challenges. Challenges like unconstitutional government changes, unemployment, and poverty persist. Despite the official start of the African Continental Free Trade Area (AfTA) in 2021, the anticipated improvements in intra-African trade have not materialized, with a decrease from 14.5% to 13.7%. Africa grapples with a significant annual infrastructure financing gap of $130 billion to $170 billion, exploring innovative financial mechanisms to address it. And finally, ESCOM has temporarily halted load shedding as it expects the return of generating units to boost available capacity. The utility is actively working to recover additional generating capacity by bringing units on unplanned outages and plant maintenance back into service. ESCOM's power station general managers and their teams are making efforts to stabilize the power supply. A total of 2,560 megawatts of generating capacity is anticipated to be restored by Monday. ESCOM plans to provide further updates on the situation, and stakeholders are urged to use electricity efficiently to reduce the risk of future load shedding. That's a news package at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter.
Let's now join Sports Desk for sports updates.
In the world of sport, two-time African shot put champion Chukwuebuka Enekwechi has taken a subtle dig at the officials of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria over the poor planning and quality of the kits-provided athletes at the World Athletics Indoor Championship in Glasgow. Enekwechi, Nigeria's representative in the men's shot put event, secured his best ever finish at a global competition after a spirited display with a throw of 216 meter to place sixth. In a post-match interview with Making of Champions, the 31-year-old Enekwechi berated the AFN for not providing athletes kits for the championship in Glasgow.
No coach here from the Federation. There was no official till about 3 o'clock this afternoon, but we fought. I told my people back home, regardless, I'm throwing 70 feet, and I threw 70 feet, and I'm very happy with that. Hopefully there's better organization later on in the season, in the year. I'm going to the Olympics. Thank goodness for my health, and it's always great to compete against the best in the world. So these are my friends. I'm grateful to be in the competition. I'm grateful to be in the mix.
And I mean, it was really commend your consistency despite some of the trials you've talked about, from 2018 at the African Champs up until the World Champs to again looking towards Paris now. Have you drawn up a plan on how you're going to get to Paris and execute and potentially get on the podium?
We have a plan. Part of the plan is to have a jersey to compete in that I don't have to tape over.
24-2025 Champions League season.
And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take a look at some of our major stories. President Tinubu signed 7-point agreements with Qatar, promises to prosecute government official for misconduct. Abuja residents loot Agricultural and Rural Development Secretariat as Nigerians groan under economic hardship. Libya, Tunisia, and Algeria hold tripartite meeting to improve economy. You can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screen. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekan Onabanjo.